Welcome back. Yahweh is my shepherd. We've been considering the awesomeness of that statement. Because he is my shepherd, he takes on the role of my provider and my protector. In yesterday's meditation, we saw how Yahweh seeks to lead us in well-worn paths of righteousness, and then also guides us with his rod and staff when we get off course. I want to consider that valley of the shadow of death again, but from another angle. In the Judean wilderness, there are many areas with rough terrain, and as a shepherd would guide his sheep from a verdant oasis to another, the flock might have to pass through some troublesome territory. Years ago, I had the privilege and pleasure to study in Israel for 22 days. During that trip, our archaeological guide led a group of us up into the Judean wilderness to a hidden oasis, and then down to the falls of Engedi, where the rest of the group would meet us. As we descended the side of the ridge toward the path, I noted that it was pretty steep. And then at the bottom of that ridge, there was a sign facing the other way so that the people walking in the path would be able to read it and not go into the area which we were just coming from. The sign read, "Beware of leopards." There were in the wilderness then many obstacles and many opportunities for there to be anxiety and fear, the valley of the shadow of death. There are many valleys of fears, many valleys of the shadows of death all around us. Probably the greatest, though, of those valleys of fears is the valley of the shadow of death. People, for the most part, the greatest fear that they have is the fear of death. And sadly, today, the world and the media tend to feed on that emotion. People will do many radical or irrational things that they would have done any other time or any other way had it not been for that specific fear. Man fears death. Why? Because apart from Jesus, death is the end. Or at least they believe it's the end. Sadly, it's not the end. Every individual on the face of the earth will live forever. The question is, where will they live? Jesus, the Good Shepherd, came into the world to lay down his life. He died so that he would be able to be resurrected in order that he might conquer that valley of the shadow of death. In Hebrews chapter 2, verses 14 to 18, we read, "Inasmuch then as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, he himself," that is Jesus, "likewise shared in the same, that through death he might destroy him who had the power of death, that is, the devil, and release those who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For indeed, he does not give aid to angels, but he does give aid to the seed of Abraham. Therefore, in all things, he had to be made like his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself has suffered, being tempted, he is able to aid those who are tempted." Satan loves to control people through panic and anxiety, especially as it pertains to what seems to be the finality of life. However, remember Jesus' words to Martha that we considered earlier in these devotionals. Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die." Do you believe this? Hence, as we travel in life and the pathway leads into the valley of darkness, even the valley of the shadow of death, we can pass through that valley in faith and strength without fear, knowing that our shepherd is on duty, knowing that our loving shepherd is there to protect us. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That same rod and staff that might be used if I go a little bit astray is the same rod and staff that is used to protect me from other things that may come against me. Remember, if I am following the shepherd's voice, then he has led me to this place in my life. And he's still with me. He's got this thing covered. I don't know what you may be going through in your life today. I know there's a whole lot of things in the world. But be assured, your shepherd is still shepherding. Listen to his voice. Follow his guidance. Rejoice in his protection. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. Take time to pray and have a blessed day.